Alright, this is the second video and points to remember. Okay, so first we talked about the observation table. Now we'll talk about graph. So what are the points that you need to remember while you're plotting the graph? Okay, so the first thing, the origin should be marked by two coordinates. Okay, so whenever you're writing your coordinates for your graph, just make sure that you are writing both. Oops. Alright, so suppose you are plotting this graph over here, so you'll always write 0, 0. Okay, if it is 0, 0, if it is 0, 5 or 35 over here, for example, in that case, you'll write accordingly. So you will mention the coordinates over here. So origin, you just won't write 0 and leave it, but you'll make sure you write both for x coordinate 0 or y coordinate 0 or whatever the readings, whatever the scale you're choosing that you need to mention over here. Alright. Second thing, so when x-intercept or y-intercept, so whenever you're finding any intercept, okay, in your graph, whenever you're finding any intercept, in that case the origin should be at 0, 0. That means you have to use the same scale. Okay, whenever you're finding an intercept, your origin should be same. That means you should use the same scale. So in your first experiment, all the graphs that are there, okay, that are for intercepts. Okay, so we'll just go through the graph if you have time, and in that case we'll just make sure what this point is, we'll understand it. Okay, but make sure that all in your first experiment all the scales are same, okay, in order to find the intercept. All right, third, at least 60% of the graph page along both axes should be used. So you should use it. So if this is your page, for example, okay, at least 60% should be used from both sides. Okay, so whenever you're plotting the graph, it should be such that it should cover 60% of the page. All right, try to make it as large as possible. Okay, try to use maybe more than 60%, but in your exams, so in your the things that the observer will see would be that it is at least 60%. Okay, so whoever is coming for examination purpose, okay, examining, in that case you'll examine that whether it is 60% or not. Okay, all right, the point should be plotted with great care. Okay, there should be a circle with a dot. So whenever you're plotting a point, so whatever the point, you can't leave it with a point. Okay, you just make a small circle around it. Okay, this is a proper way of plotting it. Okay, don't do something like this where you make a complete plot or something, or you make a x or something like that. Okay, this is not considered good. Okay, so these are not allowed, in fact. So this is what is expected out of you. Okay, so you'll put a point and then you will put a circle around it. All right. Okay, now best fit line. So whenever you're drawing a line or whenever you're plotting a line, what is the things that you need to remember? Now the best fit line does not necessarily has to pass through all the points that have been drawn. Okay, for example, you are getting some points like this. Okay, now a best fit line would be something, okay, which is like a symmetry. It doesn't matter whether all the points are on the line or even none of the points are on the line. Okay, but just make sure that it is kind of a symmetry that has been drawn. Okay, if you are getting a graph, say for example, where all the points are coming in the same line, then definitely that is the best thing. Okay, but if you are not getting, in that case, don't try to force yourself in getting all the points on the line. Okay, so best fit line is something which ideally represents a symmetry kind of a thing. Okay, so here all experimental points must be kept on a line. Okay, so you should try to put it on a line, but if it is not coming, in that case a symmetrically placed on left and right side of the line. So depending upon where the points are, so say one point is over here, one point is over here, in that case these points are lying, this is like a symmetry, so this is a best fit line. All right, the line should be continuous, thin, uniform, extended beyond the extreme point. So whenever you're plotting this line, okay, it shouldn't be like you're you have, okay, suppose you are starting from the origin. Okay, you will stop at this point, which is your last point. You don't have to stop it over there. You have to extend it. Now this line should be thin. Okay, it should be uniform. Okay, it shouldn't be like thick over here then thin over here. It should be uniform as a thin continuous line, and it should be extended. Okay, extended beyond your last point. Okay, the same thing with the slope also. If there is a slope, you're plotting any slope, say for example, in that case 2 points. So whenever you're plotting a slope, it should be a continuous line and it should be extended. All right. Oops. All right. Some more points on the best fit. So while removing a slope of a best fit line, so whenever you're removing a slope, use more than 50% of the line drawn. So for example, so you have and you have to plot a slope. So you can take this also as a slope, but here you have to take more than 50%. Okay. So suppose these are your points, so your point should not be included. Okay, it should always be a new point. So whenever you're plotting a slope, say for example one more point is, so you take more than 50% of the line. So say half of the line should be there, so more than 50. So say here, and then you take a point over here. Now both, there are no points that you have plotted. Okay, these are the new points that you'll be taking, and you'll make a slope. Okay, so it should be more than 50% of your line that you have drawn. Okay, and the second thing, while removing slope of a best fit line, consider new points and not already plotted points. So already plotted points, do not consider them, but consider new points. Okay, all right. And the last, this is not related to graph, but there might be in your exams, they might ask you short answer type questions may be set to test understanding of the theory and the logic of steps involved. So whatever the steps you are doing, what is the logic behind it, that can be asked. So while doing your experiments, just be focused and try to understand what exactly you are trying to do over there. All right. So we'll stop over here. Thank you.